what do you say? Take a look at it. It's an NHL trade. We have ourselves some news that was just broken by Michael Russo on Twitter. Now, if you're familiar with Russo, he is indeed a Minnesota Wild beat reporter. He talks about the Wild. He has his own radio show. He has a page on The Athletic where he talks about Minnesota stuff. And he posted onto Twitter 20 minutes ago, per sources, the Wild have acquired Avalanche left shot D-man Ian Cole in exchange for defenseman Greg Pateryn. Cole is a two-time Stanley Cup champion with the Pittsburgh Penguins who has a hard shot, he's hard-nosed, and most importantly, he's an exceptional quote. Now, I don't know what that last part means. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm usually pretty well-versed in this stuff, but exceptional quote? Let's Google that. What does that even mean? Yeah, so right now, he's coming over to Minnesota in exchange for Greg Pateryn, who is a pending UFA, making a $2.25 million AAV on the salary cap. Ian Cole is also a pending UFA, 4.25 AAV. Colorado will retain some salary there. So what you're doing here, if you're the Avalanche and or the Wild, is you're literally swapping two bottom four pairing defensemen. One is a left-handed guy in Ian Cole, one is a right-handed guy in Greg Pateryn. And if you take a look at the overall levels of play that these guys have had, Ian Cole has been noted primarily as a point-producing defenseman who does indeed do some pretty good things in the offensive zone. 26 points in the most recent season of play in 65 games. That's definitely not bad. And you have Greg Pateryn over here, who's a little bit more of a two-way guy. He's a little bit more of a battler in his own zone, etc. He doesn't nearly produce the same amount of production as Ian Cole does. And so when you take a look at it from an asset-to-asset point of view, it's quite obvious to see here that Ian Cole, just based off of the on-ice production, is a more valuable asset, meaning that there's a little bit of a deeper implication here. Greg Pateryn is going over to a Colorado Avalanche system that just got rid of Cole, who is an NHL-caliber left-handed defenseman. I've seen people maybe stirring up the discussion on whether or not this is the time for Bowen Byram to come over onto the Avalanche, which would make sense if they're trading away a guy like Ian Cole, who was a pretty good point-producing defenseman last year. Mostly because it would be easier to take out a guy like Greg Pateryn in your lineup instead of an Ian Cole, who, as we said, has been legitimately good in the previous few years of play. So for the Minnesota Wild, what you're doing is you're pretty much just upgrading your decor here. You get rid of Pateryn, you get Cole, that's a very nice one-for-one acquisition for your team, and for the Avs, you're getting a more expendable guy who could probably be in a more appropriate spot to take a seat behind for Bowen Byram to come in. Also, the contracts, they work out, salary's going to be retained here, and plus they both have 1 year left anyway, so it doesn't really matter on that front. But it's a very minor trade that does have some bigger implications for both sides involved. So if you're Colorado Avalanche fan, tell me in the comments below, what did Ian Cole mean to this team? I'm gonna be honest here, I haven't seen all the Avalanche games in 2019-2020, so I would not be able to answer that to the best extent that most Colorado fans would, but from what I'm gathering, Cole was legitimately a good player, so taking this guy out, putting in a Pateryn or a Byram instead, that certainly does intrigue me, so tell me in the comments if that plan does seem like the right thing to do. Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.